From my extreme right, I've got Minister Lamula from the Justice. In the middle, Minister Modise, Defense. And then my close right, Minister Cele, the one who's speaking now, Minister in the Presidency, Mondli Kungubel. We will call upon Minister Modise to actually read the statement, and then we entertain conversation thereafter. Minister Modise.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I read the statement. The ministers of the GCIS cluster have convened this media briefing to elaborate on the issues related to security, which were outlined by His Excellency the President in the SONA statement delivered in Cape Town on the 10th of February this year. We also will respond to the issues raised by political parties during SONA, which took place on the 16th of February. As ministers tasked with ensuring national stability, we want to reassure the public and the world at large that we are committed to maintaining law and order in South Africa. We are also committed to restoring the integrity of the country's safety and security machinery that has been eroded by a number of challenges and shortcomings, which were highlighted in the various reports that have been published. We are addressing the capacity and resources issues within the security and justice system in order to ensure that the security sector meets the demands of the country. And this includes appointing experienced professionals and using modern cutting-edge technologies to ensure that the security machinery remains fit for purpose and meets the international standards. On improving this GCIS cluster, despite challenges, including those that were caused by COVID-19, members of the public will have seen that the wheels of justice have been in motion, that people have started being arrested, that a number of notable arrests are in the court processes, and that we hope that in the coming weeks, this will continue to gain momentum. Not only are we expecting that it will be the people from the public sector, we're expecting that the private sector abuse of the COVID-related issues will also be dealt with. The efforts by law enforcement and criminal justice agencies are indeed starting to pay off. And more will be achieved, as I said, to capacitate and to meet the extreme challenges that we must address, especially those related to the state capture and other high-level complex corruption. On the specialized commercial crime courts, the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services has established two commercial crimes courts in Mthatha and East London in the Eastern Cape to bolster the efforts against corruption. We know that we have two more courts in Palm Ridge and in Pretoria North. And we also know that the department intends to roll out this in the other provinces, namely in Limpopo, Mpumalanga, the Northern Cape, and the Northwest. We also want to say that the department will implement a two-phased approach in establishing and enhancing these crime courts, and that the first phase will be no later than the end of this financial year. The second phase, which entailed the enhancement of the existing SCCCs in all the other provinces, was scheduled to start in April 2021. They have managed now to achieve an overall conviction rate of 92%, those SCCs. As far as SAPS is concerned, within the Department of SAPS, they have embarked on a nationwide recruitment of at least 12,000 young men and women before the end of this year. The recruitment of 7,000 is in its final stages, while later in the year, SAPS will recruit the next 5,000 to undergo their basic training next year. The 7,000 are those that were recruited in the financial year 2019-2020 intake, and they are ready, as I said, to start with the basic police and development program. And the training of the next 7,000, plus the additional 3,000 that make up SAPS reservist and public service administration members, will commence in the new year 2022-2023. This past week, the department also advertised the recruitment of graduates, hoping to attract Bachelors of Science graduates as well as all the others from the different academic fields. This, we hope, will increase the strength of SAPS in its mandate to prevent and fight crime within our communities. We will continually assess the capacity levels of SAPS and recruit accordingly to ensure that we increase the strength of the police from the 180,000 officers to service the country's population of more than 60 million people. Furthermore, units like Public Order Police, the Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Investigating Unit, frontline at police stations, as well as the detectives, will be beefed up with the appointment of the new trainees to these much-stretched units. Not only will the efforts of the police be bolstered to restore law and order in the communities, but priority attention will also be given to the investigation of crimes against women, children, the elderly, and all the other vulnerable persons within our communities. When it comes to intelligence services, the ministers are also re-evaluating and assessing the capacity and strength of the intelligence services to undertake surveillance and monitoring of stability in the country. The report of the expert panels on the 2021 July unrest pointed us to several shortcomings in this work. The State Security Agency and Crime Intelligence will ensure that critical posts are filled, which were left vacant by suspensions, resignations, promotions, and even death. There is a 46% improvement in the filling of vacancies between 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 financial years. The vacancies at foreign stations have also decreased significantly. A forensic investigation was initiated and a forensic investigations firm has been appointed to conduct an investigation into all malfeasance in the agency. The agency has recently dismissed about 4 members who have already been found guilty of fraud and corruption. The agency has also made much progress in terms of working with the investigative directorate to ensure that persons who were involved in criminality will be prosecuted. As far as defense is concerned, we are ready to support the law enforcement agencies that deal with any threats to security and stability in a country. In this regard, we will continue to be on standby to protect all the national key points as well as the economic corridors of the country from any disruption or blockages, either arising from protesting truck drivers or disruptive elements. SANDF continues to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic, and as such continues to conduct border guard operations, in particular land borders. This is in order to curb the cross-border movement of undocumented persons, illicit goods and drugs, weapons, livestock, and stolen vehicles. The Defence Force has registered a spectacular success in this regard by intercepting many luxury cars that were being smuggled into the neighboring countries and the interception of drug smuggling. As our nation continues to grapple with service delivery challenges, SANDF is there to lend a hand, in particular as it relates to infrastructure. As announced by the President in the State of the Nation address, SANDF will continue to avail the capacity of the South African Army engineers to lend a hand in assisting government to build low-cost bridges in our rural communities, as well as the Welisi's Rural Bridges Program. These bridges will assist in curbing the drowning of school children whilst trying to cross swollen rivers to get to school. It will also assist pensioners to access their pensions more safely. Already, we have constructed 16 bridges across KZN and 18 in the Eastern Cape, and thus enabled thousands to be able to cross dangerous rivers to ensure that they reach clinics, schools, and enable them to do all their other everyday things that they need to do. In the coming months and years, we will intensify this program and consistent with the marching orders from the Commander-in-Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, we are determined to ensure that we have a well-capacitated defense which is combat-ready and capable of discharging its constitutional mandate. Our 2022 recruitment program is currently underway. Approximately 2,000 young men and women will be joining the ranks of SANDF as new recruits this year. They will be reporting in the second week of March 2022 at the various services for their basic military training. As ministers of the security cluster, we are committed to creating a safe and conducive environment that will reassure both the citizens of this country and the international tourists and investors alike that they will be safe when they come and do business in this country. We therefore call upon all the peace-loving people of this country to work with us as we transform and improve the security machinery, and that will service us as a country without fear or favor. On fighting fraud and corruption, we wholly support the call made by the President that all those who are implicated and have benefited unlawfully in the state capture corruption and corruption-related procurement of personal PPEs must face the full wrath of the law. The NPA and the Directorate of Priority Crimes are collaborating in this regard, and all implicated people must be brought to book as swiftly as possible. After a challenging setup phase, the NPA's investigating directorate is entering a new phase of impact under the new leadership that will be appointed soon. With the right skills and resources to deliver on its mandate to tackle the most complex crimes, we hope this directorate will deliver to the South African community with the much-needed prosecution-guided investigation model. In a joint effort to tackle corruption, law enforcement agencies have collaborated with the Financial Intelligence Service Center. These agencies, which include the DPCI, the NPA's Asset Forfeiture Unit, the Specialized Commercial Crime Unit, the Investigations Directorate, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, the Special Investigating Unit, the Crime Intelligence, SSA, the South African Reserve Force, and the South African Reserve Revenue Services have issued 55 high-priority financial intelligence reports that have been used to identify high-priority investigations. On whistleblowing, all measures that are put in place to fight corruption will not succeed if we are not supported by an effective whistleblowing and witness protection system. A team reporting to Anti-Corruption Task Team has been appointed to review the Protection of Disclosures Act 2000 and other applicable law to undertake a comparative study that will enable us to look at what the other jurisdictions are doing in this regard. The other area of concern for us is the JCPS as the JPCS cluster is in instances where individuals and organizations deliberately undermine the rule of law during the community protest. We urge South Africans to behave in this regard. We are also concerned about the low level of trust between the law enforcement agencies and the public, and we hope that we will be engaging in a lot of activities to reinforce this and to recreate trust where it has been lost. In fighting gender-based violence and femicide, we believe that the 3 pieces of new legislation, the Criminal and Related Matters Amendment Bill Act, the Criminal Law Amendment Act, and the Domestic Violence Amendment Act, will improve the conviction rate on sexual offenses. The 3 acts were finalized in collaboration with civil society, which is proof that social compact works. Furthermore, we are working with partners in communities to ensure that the victims of GBVF have easy access to courts. The Department of Police has trained over 90,000 officers in an effort to sustain the decline in sexual offenses and establish a GBVF desk at police stations across all the provinces, which will be managed by trained desk officers. It is envisaged that these GBVF desks will be finalized by the end of March this year, and government will be prioritizing the identified hotspots. In dealing with migration issues, border management is crucial. But we also want to urge all people of South Africa to report any illegal activity that they witness in their communities to law enforcement agencies rather than to take the law into their own hands. The Commissioner for Border Management, BMA, has been appointed, and all the relevant departments are contributing to make this border management agency a reality. On the Department of Home Affairs, countering corruption, the Department of Home Affairs has and continues to ensure that credibility of our enabling documents and processes throughout South Africa and internationally add to the value chain. In November, they worked with other law enforcement agencies to take down a criminal syndicate that was undermining our immigration laws at the Limbombo border post. This syndicate consisted of 6 Home Affairs officials, a policeman, and a Mozambican hawker. Their criminal trial is scheduled to start on the 16th of March 2022. In October 2021, the Belleville Specialist Commercial Crime in Court in Cape Town convicted former Home Affairs officials, Joseph Libitza, on 8 counts of corruption. Is now facing 8 months of corruption in jail. So we want to continue to do what we need to do to make sure that none of us, whether we are in the public or in the service of the Republic, or private citizens, can continue to abuse the state and to render the name of South Africa not so good. So I want to say to you that we join hands to improve our national security where everyone feels safe and secure. Let us all ensure that no one is left behind in rebuilding our beautiful country, because working together, we can ensure a safe, stable, and prosperous South Africa. No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Modise. Maybe just to say, Mr. Libitsa will be facing 8 years in jail for being involved in these breaches. We'll take probably 4 at a time, because we know you've got no task-free day, so that we don't keep you for a long time. Now, this is the time to converse with us, as long as you tell us who you are, from which home you come from. 1, going, 2, going, all right? Some girl, you must always introduce yourself.
The SAPC. A direct one to Minister Hamilton Cele. Minister, your NMS is been given the marching orders. The Police Commissioner Kehla Sithole. Your response to the President and Kehla Sithole reaching an agreement for him to mutually terminate his contract of employment, or was he booted out after the President requested him to send a written statement last year as to why he should not be suspended? On the July unrest, the security cluster ministers were caught napping. There was no synergy and communication between all security cluster ministers as per the July unrest report. How far are you in rectifying the discrepancies that exist between all ministries? Lastly, Minister Ayanda Dlodlo, the former state security minister, says it's not her fault that you did not receive a security clearance, a security report, an intelligence report on the July unrest as per the time you were meant to be given it by your officials in the department. Why wasn't there proper communication between yourselves and the intelligence ministry? Lastly, when it comes to the issues of the police were found wanting in the July unrest. How far are you in rectifying the discrepancies between the South African police force that exists currently in the country to ensure that South Africans are safe and sound? And are you happy that Kehla Sithole is finally gone? Thank you.
I saw a hand, yeah?
Thank you. My name is Govan Whittles from ENCA. I have a number of questions, sir. I'm wondering if I should just throw all of them.
Hey, how many do you have?
Yeah, there are about 7, sir.
Okay.
I'll take the answers and then come again.
Can we stick to not more than 4 at a given time?
Thank you so much.
We allowed some girl, because you are few, we allowed some girl to do the unusual thing to ask 4 questions. And he took advantage of that. Fine.
Thank you so much. We heard in the statement the Minister of Defense referring to the establishment of the commercial crimes courts, different provinces. The Minister of Justice had said that he expected some information around corruption courts from the State of the Nation address. Is that the same thing? Are you talking about those courts, or are there other courts that you believe should be set up? And then regarding the SANDF, Minister Modise said there's a report that says South Africa is in danger of violating legally binding international aeronautical and maritime search and rescue laws because the government is unable to maintain critical defense equipment that's needed for life-saving deep-sea operations. This off the back of a presentation by Denel and concerns raised in another report that it wouldn't be able to meet its contractual obligations to supply parts for the Air Force to service its fleet. Could you tell us whether or not that concern around South Africa not being able to honor those international laws is valid, and that is the correct state of the deep sea search and rescue operations? And then we heard from the chief of the Air Force saying his men remain combat ready. It's just a bit of a discrepancy between that and Denel saying it may not its situation may not be able to service those parts. So what is the state of the Air Force? And this is in response saying that the reason this is the case is because the SANDF had spent hundreds of millions of rands on contracts for leases. And then to Minister Cele, regarding illegal immigration, sir, what is the position of the police regarding Operation Dudula and these political parties that are checking the expiry date of foods at shops that are owned by foreign nationals? Are you calling on them to stand down, or are you engaging them? Let me leave it there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is that Govin?
Yes, sir. This is Govin Whittles from ENCA, sir.
Do we have anything online, Willie? Yes.
No, thanks, Minister. I will also maybe take 4 on the first round.
Okay.
And the first questions are coming from Christian Duplessis from Network 24, and the first 3 questions are directed to Minister of Police, and they are related to the General Sithole. And the first question is, do you agree with the statement by the presidency that the termination of the contract of General Sithole is in the best interest of the country, and why? And the second question, the Sunday Times reported that Sithole was given the marching orders because of his political links and because he was not going to implement the findings of the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. And do you agree with that? And the third one, do you think the public spurt between yourself and the commissioner contributed to his departure? And the last of this round, Minister, is from our Amanda Watson from the Citizen. And the question is also directed to Minister of Police. Has anyone been identified as a replacement for General Sithole yet? And if not, by when do you expect to make the announcement? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Interestingly, if I listen to the questions, the order is as the arrangement of the ministers. So we start with Minister Cele. Thank you very much. Face the nation that side.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. They are from the presidency, so we will answer all the questions about the stall. Not a single one I'm going to answer, because that is a presidency issue. I'm sure we're fine on that one. Why this thing is falling now? There was no synergy. That has been said, Samuel, that there could have been better coordination and in a prompt reaction and response during the July, both in Gauteng and KZN. The panel of experts led by Professor Sandy Africa, they've just emphasized that point, which was the point that even from our side, we have accepted that there were gaps in dealing with those matters. The response of the relevant units of policing is not just policing; they should be relevant. Your POP, which, by the way, is one thing that needs to be corrected as much quick as we can. As Falam called that you should at least that time have 12,000 members of the POP. There are 5,000 as we speak, so they could not then have responded quickly. We hope that this new recruitment of these 12,000 young South Africans will help to really enhance those units that need younger people. Because even with those that are there, there is a complaint about the age and all that kind of stuff. So we definitely would not sit here and say we were maximal in terms of synergizing that there were those gaps. Minister Dlodlo, indeed, the issue here was not the management and net joints getting the information. The issue was the minister getting the information. That response, I'm sure this even tells you that it was not from the Minister of State Security to the Minister of Police, because that has been the narrative all the time, and which I'm sure now it has been clarified that there was never a handover of information or intelligence information from minister to minister. What happened on those police and the briefed and all that, that's another story that we can explain. But today, South Africa knows that there was no minister to minister information. Maybe let me just close that point by saying I do get information, intelligence information. Even a few days ago, I do from the State Security Agency. That comes to me and is signed for. That's a kind of information that one was talking about. That I think it has been explained time and again. Nothing much done by the police. It's a pity that we don't talk about what police did, Samuel. They did a lot. There is just one thing that we can accept. Maybe they did not respond quick as they could, especially as it looked now that police did not respond, especially in the places like townships where there are black business. The destruction was huge there. You even today when you go to Bridge City and some other places, Guamashu and Umlazi, you can see that the destruction was big. But to say that police did not respond is not very true. You know, I'll always say at one time the Provincial Commission Special of KZN crossed the line in defending some places, including a place called Pavilion. You know that is in the township, Pavilion, just on the other side is a township that you know. On that one, he had to send a special task force, which is out of line on the police operations. People like NIU, people like Special Task Force are not sent to deal with the masses per se. But one other thing that one can raise there, the communities themselves were big in protection of this establishment, and together with, in some areas, worked very well with the private security company, though in other places private security company didn't do very well, like your Phoenix and all that. But there was that. There could have been worse destruction if police did not work together with the community in some other places. Maybe that they responded on the later stage when the destruction especially in the African township has happened. The political links. It's unfortunate that you are not asking Sunday Times. Sunday Times write the story and you ask Cele, why? Ask Sunday Times the political links. I know no political links. The Operation Tutula. By the way, South Africans are invited to work with the law enforcement agencies as ordinary citizens like yourself, Samuel. There is something that is legal called citizen arrest, and then you work in collaboration. You hand over to the police. The problem starts when yourself you tend to be a police officer. You are a court yourself. You are Home Affairs, so you catch them you try them, you send them back. It cannot be. So there's been a lot of interaction between police, especially in Gauteng, because lo tutula Gauteng, especially Mawela, with the people of Tutula. Two things that would happen is that they would talk on those matters, but also there are several places where the police have said, don't cross this line. We have seen those operations where police themselves are there. Maybe that's why the statement says we are calling on South Africans to work with the law enforcement agencies without themselves breaking the law. One of those people, his firearm has been taken because the law says in South Africa, even the firearm is legal. You can't march armed. So his firearm has been taken. He's one of the leaders of that Tutula. So if they work within the law, but it does look like now and again they get outside the ambit of the law, and the police need to act on that, act with negotiation, but the final act of the police is to enforce the law. If they continue to act in the way that breaks the law, they'll have to face the full mighty of the law. The job they do is supposed to be done by Department of Labor to go and check those people that are foreign nationals and all that. And it does not necessarily follow that if you are a foreign national, you are a criminal. It doesn't. We do have a lot of criminal activities around those category of people, but we have a lot of criminality around the category of people that are South Africans. We went there where it happened. So I went around, we asked where we come from. I come from Beckville, I come from Ngutu, I come from Olundi, I come from Bulawayo, I come from Gaborone. One guy there has come from Gaborone. So criminality is beginning to be beyond the borders. I'm sure you have learned that after that operation where there was that exchange of fire and police came tops, there was an exchange of fire in Botswana, in Gaborone, and some of those guys were coming from South Africa, who were part of that group. So you find these Botswanas now here, you find South Africans in Botswana, you found a lot of Zimbabweans here, Mozambicans, and a lot of Basotho nations, especially when it comes to Zamazama. So it is on that score that we ourselves were brought in our working together. SAPRO is working together as these neighboring countries, which the ministers themselves are taking the initiatives that we work together on that matter. Stoller, no. Public Spurt and his departure, no. Public replacement. The president will see to the replacement.
Thank you, Minister. I'll ask ministers to share very economically the time we have.
But and the questions now must be economic.
It's fine. It's fine. Minister Modise, I know the passion. All right. We've got a limited time in terms of coverage.
I will be economic. No, I will be economical. We have one question split into two. Is South Africa facing violation of the international maritime laws? Yes and no. No, because even limping as we have been with the maintenance and the refurbishment, we have kept up our responsibility, so no. We fortunately have one of the first new patrol ships already in the dock in Simonstown, And so by the end of this financial year, all 3 patrol ships ordered will be with us. Are we happy with what we have to go up to the North Pole as is our responsibility? We think that in the coming financial year we'll be able to replace and make sure that we do have a serviceable ship that will enable us to do that. So we take our responsibilities very seriously. And for those who may have forgotten, our coastal responsibilities are also very long. It takes a toll on the South African National Defence Force budget, because on the one side we go as far as Angola, the other one is Tanzania. I think we patrol up to there. So it does take a lot from us. We also have 2 countries that we are involved in on the international. One of them has to get support and maritime support from us. So yes, we're looking at that. But so we're not only going to be refurbishing for this responsibility, we are going to be coming out with a plan. Once it is finalized, we will put it in the public. And to go on to the Denel, we're also looking very seriously at Denel. And when we have refined DEFSEC, our discussions around Denel as firstly DOD, and DOD with a public enterprise and the presidency, we will come out publicly what we think needs to happen around the issues Denel and the refurbishment of the defense industry and South Africa. Thank you very much.
Minister Lamula, maybe I didn't need.
Yeah, thank you very much, Minister Ngugubele. My question is only one, related to what Gavin Watson says. It's the presidency statement on the... oh, my apology. What Gavin has raised. Is in relation to to what he says is a corruption court. The president in the State of the Nation address spoke about the issue of the prioritization of the court role for corruption matters. And at the height of the COVID-19 related corruption matters, he instructed the state to look into the possibility of establishing additional specialized commercial crimes court to increase the capacity of the courts to handle some of the matters that will obviously emanate from the those COVID-19 related procurement matters. And hence the statement says that to date 4 special commercial crimes court were established, which is Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, and the Northwest. That was the first phase, which they are already in existence, operating as we speak. And the conviction rate that was reported comes from that process. The second phase was for the establishment in Mthatha and in East London. And as we speak, they have been established. It was also to enhance the Palm Ridge court and also the Pretoria North court, which has also been enhanced for them to take more capacity, to have more capacity to handle these matters. The Specialized Commercial Crimes Court handles matters of organized crime, white-collar crime, including corruption. So when we have increased the capacity of these courts, it means that we can be able to prioritize in terms of the court role the corruption matters that will emanate from the various law enforcement agencies, the Hawks, the NPA, and all other places where corruption matters may emanate from. This will enable that they are prioritized and they are handled expeditiously. And this is done in collaboration with all the relevant stakeholders in the entire value chain of the criminal justice system, which is the NPA, the judiciary, the Hawks, the SAPS, and all that are playing a role for a matter to be in the court. So that is what we are talking about. And we know that there was a call that there must be an establishment of a specialized corruption matters. But this specialized commercial crimes court, we believe at this stage, can be able to handle the volume of the matters that will come with the collaboration of all stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramula. Minister Bheki, now you know it's not Watson. It's you, Governor. Minister Bheki has actually said I must earn my salary. Colleagues, the President has issued a statement with regard to Commissioner Stoll, that after a conversation, they agreed that end of March, they part ways. And the President said openly that they agreed that it's in the interest of the country to do so. Will you take it away from the recent reports? It is not unreasonable to see it in that context, because the President said, if you remember during the State of the Nation address, having got this report, I will be making pronouncements on what to call, on leadership, what to call changes. But I don't want to say anything beyond that. And I agree with Minister Cele, some of the issues, maybe the source is a better place to clarify them. Further questions? I'm going to start a new question. I'll come to you some kind. Let me start. 1, 2. I'm starting with the first questions, with the fresh ones. Let's start with 1, 2, 3. We'll come to you, Samke. Let's start with you, sir.
Thank you very much. Offense Timo, SABC News. Thanks. Offense Timo, SABC News. Minister, I heard you concede that MEDA is actually very stubborn in terms of tackling it.
Which minister?
Minister of Police.
Okay.
You mentioned that MEDA is stubborn in terms of tackling it, and you also conceded that there is a sense of mistrust between the community and the police in terms of police being effective in tackling crime. Are you not afraid of maybe the emergence of some vigilante groups that might come up because of a sense of being insecure among the communities? Thanks.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Sintebu. I'm with the SAPC. Minister, we know that the President had spoken on General Sithole, but the President said soon there will be a new commissioner. So we want to know how soon will that be, and in the meantime, who's going to be acting on behalf of General Sithole. Minister Modise, while she was reading the statement, she spoke about the confidence that the public needs to have on the police. Generally, South Africa has become a lawlessness society. I mean, and this comes, against the backdrop.
What kind of society?
A lawlessness society. Very lawlessness as a country. There's reasons for that, really, Minister. We've seen during, at the height of the lockdown, when the country was on alert level 5, only police and soldiers were allowed to move around, and those who had the privilege of writing about stories, for instance, journalists. But during that time, the rail network was destroyed while the police were there. Then one is asking, when you bring in these 12,000 new recruits in the SAPS, how different will these ones be from the ones that we had? Is there any different manual that they will be reading to sort of restore the dignity and even I would say the might of the police when it comes to law enforcement?
Yeah. Looks like Nesi.
Police Commissioner General Kehla Sithole. Do you think you're still safe? Do you think, could you be next? Do you think you're still in the President's good books? And secondly, with the cash in transit heist, this is also directed to the Minister of Defense. Often we're hearing of the police being involved, members of the SANDF being involved. Are you doing anything to investigate the level of rot within your departments where cash in transits are concerned? Last week, Minister Cele, you spoke about an intelligence report that told you about a gang that had been planning these things. Do you know how many of your members are involved? Are you investigating these things? Also, last question, Minister Cele. You spoke about the 12,000 recruitments also being part of the recommendations by the Falam Commission. How many of those recommendations have you fulfilled so far, looking at that particular commission, given that it also focused largely on the public order policing? Thank you.
I can see fire in Samkelo and Govan. Let me start with Samkelo.
Minister Cele, can I just challenge you on one part? Because I think it's largely unfair of you to speak of Kehla Sithole at the State of the Nation address and then come here today and say no. Oh, you can't see me. Oh, young boy, okay, let's keep a mask. Minister Cele, I think it's rather unfair of you because at the State of the Nation address, speaking to our colleague Bulelani Phillips, you said that part of the reasons your relationship with the police commissioner had deteriorated is because there was perceived factional sides chosen when it comes to the battles within the governing party. We still have that clip in the SABC, where you said the police commissioner seemingly entered factions within, one may assume, the governing party. You said during the July unrest, the police commissioner was nowhere to be seen. And some predicted and linked, which in the words of the high panel expert report says, the governing party has become an existential threat to national security of the country, of the two warring factions within your own party. Your police commissioner was nowhere to be seen. So it's rather unfair of you to not want to speak against whether you are pleased with the president releasing Kehla Sithole of his duties because you fundamentally believe he had entered factional politics of the governing party, as per your own words in the response after the State of the Nation address of the president. Thank you.
Govern.
Thank you so much for another opportunity. Just to follow up to your answer on Operation Dudula, Minister, now that you've brought up what happened in Gaborone, why are the police mentioning the nationality of the criminals that are involved in these major crimes? What is the intention of mentioning them? My reading of the situation is that mentioning their nationality does stoke xenophobia. And do you think that the Botswana government's decision to release the nationalities of the people involved in that shootout was a response to South Africa releasing the nationalities of the criminals involved in these major crimes? That's the only one in the police. And then for the minister in charge of state security within the presidency, please, I'd like you to just respond to this report that was released this week. There was a newspaper article purporting to publish a top secret report from within the State Security Agency, in which recommendations were made that the government insulate itself from an apparent vulnerability within the ANC to the United States intelligence influence through the US Embassy. The comment from the State Security Agency in that report is that it intends to charge the person who leaked the report to the newspaper. The report from the State Security Agency published in the newspaper suggests that the US intelligence community has a network of ANC politicians who are disclosing privileged information and or guiding or monitoring the ANC's policy direction to the United States. There's been no response from senior government officials. I just wanted to check whether you deny this report exists, whether you deny these recommendations. What's your comment on it? And then also for the same Minister Gungubele, how far is the implementation of the high-level review panel report specifically on the SSA? And this question is meant for this answer. Have any actions been taken against anyone within the SSA or anyone who has since left the SSA for the potentially treasonous actions described in that high-level review panel report? Thank you so much for that.
Let's start with Minister Modise. I think yours is very short.
Thank you. Indeed, I've got only one question. Are we doing anything to uncover and deal with the rot in the department? We're doing that. I am waiting for a report on the member of the SANDAF who was found on the scene of a heist, and the internal as well as the court processes will fall into place. You will remember that members of this particular department are also governed not only by the laws of the country, they also have a strict code which guides their behavior and conduct, and therefore all the instruments within the military and the military courts will be used. We want to say that we're not only doing this because there is a cash in heist, we are also intending to have a closer look at the military court system. We are having a conversation with the military police. We are also very clear that we are not going to have issues related to the budget. So it is not just the behavior of the individual. We are also looking section by section. What is ailing us? What systems are making it easy for corruption or malfeasance to take place within the department? And we will be dealing with it once we have all our ducks in a row. As I want to steal a minute and deal with the issues which I think you were directing to Thandi Cele on foreign nationals. I have no problem with police keeping mum about the nationality of the offenders. But I think that sometimes we are too shy to say to people who cross the borders legally and illegally, who reside amongst us, who do not respect our laws, traditions and cultures, that we are fed up. That does not turn us into people who are, xenophobic. I make an example which sounds like nothing. When I entered Tanzania in 1976, I was wearing a miniskirt, and a miniskirt was outlawed in Tanzania. I could not leave the airport facilities until the ANC had found me a kanga to wear to respect the laws of the country. And in every country I have been, and in every country I continue to be, I make sure that I am on the right side of the laws. And that is all we are saying. The truth of the matter is that most of the syndicates are not run by South Africans. And we're too ashamed to say that in Thandi Cele. What is happening in Orkney and Potchefstroom, we need to give a little closer look at, because it is syndicates who sometimes deal with matters which take away even the water supplies which is supposed to be routed to people. And then we blame the municipality. So we need to say, come stay with us. Yes, if you are legal. If you are not legal, please approach us for help. If you are in trouble, we will see how we help you. If we have to deport you, We will also not be apologetic about deporting you, but please respect us.
Thank you, Mr. Gar.
Samgelo, when I was asked the State of the Nation, I raised two things about the National Commissioner. That he was not there in this. I was told later that he was there, but I haven't seen him up to this point. But the other thing that I've raised is that we have not been moving together on dealing with the matters. For instance, there is this hot issue of the laboratories, of whom one has not been very lucky to move with him on those matters. That's what I said. But that day, every day of the State of the Nation, we start by addressing the forces that you see around there. It was not part of that. It was the deputies. It was the deputies that we were with. So that's the issue I raise. That he has got on political. I would like to get that clip. That he has got on political. Yes. That's that. You say I said he was nowhere to be seen. I don't know where did you see him when. During the KZN and Gauteng. So because I was not saying something that I've seen alone. Your clan was asking where is the National Commissioner? The clan yakho ye media, your fraternity, you were asking. Now we wawubuza. So to make as if now is my establishing my finding of which he wasn't there, that's unfair on your side. Because you remember that you also asked that question. He wasn't. But that question, that finding doesn't mean that we are at war. I was just mentioning something that was there by the public to be seen. Because I've said it before in other platforms, I'll repeat here. On the 7th, when there was the day when Ifum Sholozi did not hand himself over, we're supposed to arrest, I invited that let's go to KZN so that from the ground we deal with the matters. It didn't turn up. Deputies, they did. We sat there and we did the job until it happened at 11:20. So I just want to remind ourselves that that is not only the narrative from Cele that it happened. Lawlessness, I will have to get the interpretation, the proper English. What does it mean to be lawlessness? Lamola maybe can tell her. He's overpopulated in prison. He's overpopulated as he sits there. He has gone to president twice, asking the president to give him the space. And all those people that are overpopulated there, they don't go there on toi-toi. Knock in the prison and say, please look us. They are taken there, they are arrested, they are investigated, they are taken through courts, and they are sent there. And most of them, especially with the question of the GBVF, are doing life. We've got more than 6,000 people doing life. Last week, you saw how the agencies responded. You were there. If you were not there, you saw the story, they told it, how the agencies responded in the multinational criminal syndicate. I'm sure you have been following the things of Zamazamas, Orkney, where the police had 24 underground operation chasing those guys and police winning at the end of the day. Indeed, to say is lawlessness, I think, is a bit of exaggeration. We have a problem of crime here. we don't have Brazilian issues, Mexican issues, where criminals, they wake up the next morning and say, we're running this prison. They literally run the prison, and warders and the ministers like Lamula, they can't go to that prison. There is no place here where we can't go. So I think it's an exaggeration to say we have become is a lawlessness country. We are having a problem. We are dealing with it. We are having structures that are really functioning. People are sent to prison and they stay in prison. So I would argue on the question of lawlessness, but I will concede that we have crime that is unaccepted and unacceptable. Let's go to the question that Minister of Defense has responded, Gavin. I'll end there. I won't give you surname. I'll end there. You know, we work together, SAPTO, and there are other bodies that we work together with. We meet the ministers from. We share this information. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with South Africans and even those countries knowing that there are syndicates that are working together across the borders. So which also should encourage us as a government or as governments to work together on that matter. And there is nothing xenophobic about it. You're not going to come all the way Rabulawai and come here and do things against South Africans. Thanks God that day there was no South African of bystanders who sometimes they die, those ordinary innocent South Africans, and that you expect not to tell who are you and why do you come and special. By the way, the Botswana National is not the first one that we are finding. And they're specializing on bombing. They are recruited from mines and they come here. So we're not going to stop. We'll stop the day they stop. When they stop coming here and commit crime, we'll stop to say they are here because they won't be here. As long as they come here, we'll tell the nation what's the story. What's the story about them? Law enforcement members, police that are involved in crime, those are criminals. They must be treated as such. We are. I was listening the report of KZN of the political killing team. They have arrested 47 South African police service members who themselves are involved in such unsavory things. So we do. The provincial commissioner here, the one that was found, this guy that was found at Tembisa, who's part of they were found with the uniform of the police and all that. I'm glad that they are about to know, or they know where that uniform came from. And so either you're with us or you're with them. But I agree that the level of criminality that puts our members in criminality is really worrying some we hope there is no fire. We hope there is no fire.
Really? Check.
But we need to check that.
Let's proceed.
That's that. My job, I definitely did not employ myself. It's an unfair question to ask from me if my job is safe. What I know is that I'm doing my job and I'll continue to do my job as long as I'm given the opportunity of there. But when time comes, I will go home, Samuel. I don't think I'll have a problem and all that. I'll go Mzumbe and Yolima Matumbe, and that will be so. But for now, but without talking about myself, I've been really listening, Samge, on this matter of who says Cele must go. And there is less pronouncement of people that saying Cele must not go. I've listened to experts like your Bheki, like your Tikok. I've listened to them, and it's unfortunate that you don't emphasize when you deal with that point. Anyway, political organization is their job to say the other political organization is doing the job, but you listen to what the experts are saying on this matter. I have no brief for them, nothing, but I've listened to them. I think I was lucky to see a very good interview run by Utulasis with you go and check that interview. So it's something that is happening. You see, Minister Kongobel, ask the journalists to ask you questions from me, so that I have a short time. Falam issues. The main one is that one. This 12,000 is not what was suggested by Falam in training of the police, but he has suggested 12,000 in POP. That's what we are running. The other things that is a better training of police, of which we are doing. There are about 130 suggestions that are there. We are following some of them. Vigilantism question, indeed, we do see the vigilantism coming up, but also the panel of experts by Professor Africa, they did say police themselves were found wanting in terms of relationship between themselves and between the police and the communities. If you read President SONA, he has hammered and emphasized on the point that you go and improve those relationships. Indeed, the number of people that have been murdered by vigilante has increased. That's worry. We need to work on that, and then we reverse that by working together with the communities. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cele. Thank you, Mr. Modise. Quickly, Governor, on the issue of illegal use of information, that matter I'm advised is in the court counters. So once it's there, it's in the process of justice. So it will not be clever for me to try to think that I can tell you something about it. We should leave it there because it's quite a sensitive matter. You see, when you deal with matters of security, you don't imagine. You must be exact in punctuation and words. So my apology, I will not assist on that. On the issue of what have we done with regard to the people who have been found on the wrong side of the law, no less than 5 people have already, if I remember very well, have been fired and actually have been subjected to discipline. 2, I'm sure, have been fired. And a big number of them, as we talk to you now, they are in front of the ID where they are being made to answer questions on their areas of implication, where they are implicated. Quite a big number. That process is ongoing. It's a huge number. They have completed questioning a number of them. And on the high-level panel, on my arrival, in a short, we have been able to fill some key desperate positions. You must know English is not my first language. Positions that can't wait, so that we move. For instance, we have filled some positions in the foreign and inside. We are focusing on the key areas of institutional distortion. But having said all that, in a short space of time, we'll be tabling a blueprint with regard to where the SA is going. And as I'm talking to you now, a national security draft strategy on national security is already in process, which will be consulted with public. That is how far I can give you on the program. Otherwise, all those recommendations, as we assist with them, and society will see exactly what we are doing, not just as a SSA, but as the entire security cluster. We can only allow 4 questions now. If we have online,
Thanks, Minister.
those are the only questions we're going to deal with. Yes?
I'm audible. The first question is coming from Christian du Plessis from Network 24, directed to the Minister in the Presidency. And the first question is whether it is true, as reported by Sunday Times, that President Cyril Ramaphosa is unhappy about the statement by DERCO that Russia should withdraw its troops from Ukraine because this is a contradiction of government's position on the issue. And the second one is the standpoint that Russia troops should withdraw from Ukraine the official standpoint of government. And the following question is from Sumen Naidu, who is a freelance journalist, and the question is directed to Minister of Defense. And the question is there any plan to send military assistance to evacuate South Africans affected in Russia-Ukraine conflict? And there's a question from Tamar Khan from Business Day. The question is, it's been more than 6 months since the KZN and Gauteng riots. Why has no one yet been held accountable? Thanks.
Minister of Defense.
Do we have any plans to evacuate? Not as yet. We have not officially been told that South Africans wish to be evacuated either from Ukraine or from Russia. You will know that South Africa believes in dialogue, and we are hoping that dialogue will actually be followed in this situation. And that's all I can say. If and when the need arises, we will inform you.
Mr. Cele? 30 seconds.
The overpopulation of correctional service is 27%. And those people did not go there through Toy Toy. The question of nobody, there are 19 people arrested for July issues. 2 out of them, their cases have been withdrawn. All others, their cases in court, they are on bail. I think 1 or 2, they did not get bail. So to say that there is no party that has been accountable, I don't know where that comes from, when people are in the process of law. And those investigations are continuing. We believe that there will be some people that will be brought to book to account for that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. On the issue of Ukraine, the President was very clear on the matter as a Commander-in-Chief with regard to negotiation, mediation. Over and above that, it is a stance of this country, in particular the last cabinet, that will always prefer peaceful solutions of conflicts. We will always be opposed to any conflict that leads to a loss of life. And we are not prepared to comment beyond that at the moment. Yes, Sanke. I thought I said that those were the last questions.
I just want to ask one question. I don't know if the Minister of Justice would be permissible to answer this question to us around the appointment. I know the First Citizen Commander-in-Chief, the President, is meeting or is supposed to engage with other political parties on the appointment of the new Chief Justice Minister. Have you had any engagement with regards to that with the President on the appointment of the new Chief Justice, how far that process is with the engagement with other political parties? And he said that he is not bound to take the JSC recommendation as is and appoint Justice Maya. Thank you.
I think...
Sorry, Minister, you've just raised something. I don't know if you were answering the question on whether South Africa's official position remains that Russia should withdraw from Ukraine. Does that remain South Africa's official position, that Russia should withdraw?
We are saying where I stand. The president said he prefers a mediated situation in Russia. 2, we will always discourage any conflict that leads to the loss of life. And I'm not going to go comment beyond that, Gav. Thank you. To protect the Minister Samkel, the president has spoken on the matter, that what process he's going to follow. He says he will apply his mind, not Lamula's mind. So can we just accept it? It's like that. So, colleagues, can I thank all of you always for the support you give to these invitations? And any other follow-up, Mr. Waloi will assist. Thank you, ministers. Thank you to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of our exercise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Colleagues, the briefing is adjourned. For any other follow-up questions, there are different MLOs of